Are you hearing excessive noise or rattling coming from the serpentine belt area in your Honda or Acura V6 engine? I have the fix for you. Welcome to You Can Fix Anything. Today I'm going to use this Honda Odyssey to show you how to change the drive belt tensioner, the serpentine drive belt tensioner on the V6 engine that is manufactured for both Hondas and Acuras. This covers everything from the 3.2 to the 3.5 to the 3.7. Now you'll want to use the Amazon app before ordering to guarantee fitment for your particular car and engine. Before we get started, let me show you what we're going for. So we're going to look for these two pulleys right down here. And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see them. But that is what we're heading to take off right now. Now the first step in gaining access is to remove this power steering hose. It is blocking the way to get in there easily, and so there you can see there's a little spring clamp in there. So you just take a pair of pliers, move that off. Now before you pull this hose off, it is going to leak a little bit of power steering fluid, so put a shop rag under there just to catch anything that leaks out. Now it'd probably be a good time to mention, let me get this off here, that I have a newsletter called The Shop Rag, where I share tips and wisdom and different things like that. And I'm just tucking this over here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clamp this off with needle nose pliers. Tighten it up just a little bit more. That will prevent any leakage just in case this happens to drop down. The other thing that I wanna do, wipe my hands clean a little bit, is to cover this end with some plastic, because gravity is gravity and it could also continue to leak. And so I just put a Ziploc over here with a rubber band, and that will keep any more oil from leaking out. Like that. Hands are a little bit slippery. One more time, nice and tight. So that'll contain all of this. Anyway, if you're interested in receiving a free gift for signing up, check out the description below where I will have a link to the Shop Rag newsletter. Now that we have that space opened up, our next step is to remove the serpentine belt. For that, I'm going to use this belt removal tool and a 14mm shallow socket. And that will just go right down in here. Let's see, I think you can see that. Slip it on there. And as I move this, that's what loosens it up. So once this is moved over here, then we can just pop the belt right off that top pulley. Once the belt is off, we can just move that out of the way, and that will give us clear access to the tensioner down below. Now to let you see what we're going to be loosening up, one is going to be this bolt here, and you can see it goes through all the way. The other one is down on this boss. There's going to be a bolt down there. This is should be a 14mm, and I believe this one should have a 12mm head on it. But just to let you see, those are going to be down here, and it's not this top pulley, it's the second one down. You can just barely see the head of that. I want to take the camera down, hopefully it will focus and let you see. So there's the top one, and there's the one that you're going to loosen that bolt, and then down, I can't see if it's seeing it, but there should be a 12mm bolt head under here. So to take that off, I'm going to use this 3/8 ratchet with 14mm shallow socket. It is pretty tight in here, and so I'm going to just bring that down, put on this bottom bolt head, and loosen that up. Now it's probably a good time to mention, oh, that wasn't too tight, that all the tools, equipment, supplies, and parts that I use in the making of this video are available using the links in the description below. Now to get to that 12mm bolt, ideally you would use the 12mm shallow socket with maybe a 3-inch extension on it. Unfortunately, I can't find my 3-inch extension, so I had to cobble up this thing to where I put a 1/2-inch adapter and basically a 2-inch extension on a 1/2-inch drive just to make it work. But a 3-inch extension would be ideal on a 3/8 ratchet and 12mm shallow socket, or a 2-inch extension. There's a little bit of wiggle room in there if you have a deep well socket. Either one of those will work. So let's see if I feed this down without knocking the camera off. This is kind of a two-handed job. Didn't work. Well, I ended up using my right arm to guide the socket onto the bolt and my left arm to crack it loose with the ratchet. So I'm just putting this out by hand. There we go. There's the bolt. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosen the center pulley bolt the rest of the way and pull this tensioner assembly out. There we go. Now I did have to turn this around a little bit sideways to get it out, but here we are. Now that we have this out, one thing that you'll see how much play that is, that's because it's not bolted in, and it's going to have that. This can be taken apart and check the bearing inside to see if there's any play with it. I did do that and there isn't any, so that bearing is good. This one, on the other hand, is loose. It rattles. I don't know if you can see the movement. Rattles around a little bit. The new one has zero movement in it, and so this definitely needed to be changed out. To reassemble, you just put this in the same way that you took it out. Now this is going to be a two-handed job, so I'm going to take the camera, put it down as I get this positioned into place. Now to reinstall the new tensioner assembly, you do want to familiarize yourself with where the bolt holes are located. And so that's something that I would just encourage you. You could take a photo like this so you kind of understand where that's at, or just stick your hand down there, feel around a little bit so that you know what you're aiming for. You take the new tensioner assembly, slip it back down in there, turn it, and then I'm going to need both hands to get everything lined up. Sometimes new is not always better. I was having trouble getting this lined up with the hole, getting the thread started, and I'm looking at the old bolt, and I don't know if you can see, it's got a tapered end on it that will help with the reassembly. So I'm actually going to take the new bolt out and put the perfectly good old bolt in its place. Now I should mention here that the long through bolt that goes through the pulley tightened to, I believe, 54 foot-pounds, and the other bolt that just goes through the boss, the smaller one, gets tightened to 16 foot-pounds. I'll go ahead and verify and put those specs below. Now when you're tightening up this lower pulley bolt, you want to make sure that as you tighten it, that this is up on the bearing. I don't know if you can tell from here, but when it's not, it will sit out like this, which will cause the belt to be misaligned. And so as you're tightening it up, you want to make sure that it slips right up there so those pulleys are in alignment. Sorry about the focus problems. Now I'm using my small 3/8 torque wrench, but if you have a 1/2 inch torque wrench, that would be fine. Now that those two bolts are tightened to the proper torque, the next step is to reinstall the serpentine belt. I'm going to go ahead and put a graphic up on the screen that will show you the proper routing of the serpentine belt, and you can just pause the video if you need to look at it longer. I should also mention that now is the perfect time to look to make sure that there are no issues with your serpentine belt. Now before reinstalling the power steering hose, you want to just take your hand and feel all of the pulleys and just make sure that the belt is in the grooves properly. Now all that's left to finish up the job is to go ahead and remove this plastic cover. Go ahead and loosen the vice grips and put this hose back on. I did spill a little bit of fluid. I should have put the shock rag down there, but you want to make sure that none of that fluid is on the belt, which it did miss the belt, because if that gets on there, it'll get spread within seconds of the engine starting. Then we just take the pliers, put this clamp back in place. There we go. Let's start the engine up and make sure that everything is running smoothly. That's all there is to it. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, you can thank me in a couple different ways. One is to use the links below in the description to buy the parts and the tools that you need to do the job. Amazon will put a little bit of change in my pocket, and I'll really appreciate that. The other way is, if you want to take it a step further, there's a link for Buy Me a Coffee and another one for PayPal Me. And if you want to thank me in a monetary way, I would greatly appreciate it, and it helps encourage me to continue making videos like this. Have a great day.